So I'm laying there, my heart's racing, I'm holding my dog. He shines the light right on me. He's looking me dead in my eyes, and then he just puts the light down and just keeps walking. And then the train shakes, we go backwards, and then it screeches, and then we start moving. Oh man, that first train ride was just like exhilarating. Hello?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Yeah, it's my day off from work. Just hanging out.
What's your name, sir?
My name's Steve.
What's going on, Steve? What are you doing with your day off?
Right now I'm just feeding all my animals, and I'm gonna go. There's like this natural spring that I go to fill up water jugs, so I'm gonna go fill up my water.
Oh, cool. How many jugs do you think you're gonna fill up?
I got these glass 5-gallon jugs, and I got 3 big glass 5-gallon jugs, and then I got 5 1-gallon jugs.
So how many gallons is that in total?
It's like 20 gallons.
Dude, how big is a 5-gallon jug? That sounds huge.
I mean, and it's made of they're all glass, so they're pretty heavy.
How close is this stream to your house?
It's like a 30-minute drive. But like when they were making the road, the highway, the people that were making the road just like tapped into these natural springs and put these like fountains on top of it. And it's just delicious, clean water just coming out of the ground. People just pull over off the side of the road and fill up their water.
And there's no sediment in there. There's no dirt. There's no AIDS.
No, I mean, dude, you see the water coming out. It's just crystal clear, cold, fresh. It's literally the best water ever. It's great. Yeah.
You kind of sound like you have a very Cheech and Chong vibe in your voice.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I got dreads like past like almost to my stomach, like pretty much to my stomach.
Why do you fill up these jugs with water instead of just like what's wrong with the tap? You know, because this water sounds fucking delicious, but half-hour drive that's an hour commute.
Yeah, it's not like I do it every week. You know, we probably go there like every 2 months. You know, like every other month we just make like a family trip out of it. Like, oh, we just go on the drive, we fill up the jugs. It's just kind of like, you know, I could see how it could be seen as inconvenient, but for us, like, yeah, the water's really good. It's free. It's from the earth, and you know, we kind of just make like a little trip out of it.
Who's we?
Me and my girlfriend and my daughter. Yeah, I have a 7-year-old daughter.
Oh, very nice. How's having a daughter?
I mean, like, it's cool. It's hard. It's not easy because, you know, I feel like it's just, you know, it's hard being just 2 people and a baby, not really having like a big family or like support system. So there's things that are hard about it. But then there's things that I really like about it, you know, like you can kind of like, you know, like I look at her and I kind of see like a younger me, you know, and it's like I'm able to heal my inner child by having a child sometime, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Maybe this might be a loaded question, but what do you need to heal about your inner child?
Well, I feel like when I was a kid, I wasn't really like nurtured, you know, like my parents were really cold and harsh and like didn't really do things with me. And I feel like I was kind of like, you know, my inner child was stifled a little bit. Like, no, you need to grow up. You need to, you know, like I feel like I missed out on a lot of childhood things. So, you know, I like to be there with her and like do things with her instead of just like, oh, I give you food, I give you a roof, I give you clothes, that's it. That's kind of how my parents were, you know, like they're like, okay, you know, we provide you with life and that's it, you know, so I try to do like more.
Right. Yeah, you had parents that just kind of gave you the things that they were legally obligated to give you, but didn't actually want to hang out.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, I left home when I was 16, you know, but I started running away when I was probably 12, 13 years old, but I didn't leave for good till I was 16.
Why did you start running away?
Well, my dad is an alcoholic and he's in the military, and he was like, he wasn't very good at separating his work from his home, you know, like he would come home and just act still like a drill sergeant, you know, and like he was treated his family kind of like how he would treat the Marines that he was in charge of, you know. He was a very harsh man, you know, like my way or the highway kind of deal, you know, and like, he was pretty mean, you know, so, and I was homeschooled all of junior high. Yeah, man. So I started running away just because it felt like I had a better chance out there than I did where I was. But ultimately, it was like when I was a young teen, like 13, 14, running away, eventually I would have to come home because I would needed food. Like that, like there was times where I would be gone for, you know, a couple of weeks, but I just never could get enough food. So I would like come crawling back basically.
So you were 12 and you ran away. When you ran away, where'd you go?
I mean, I used to read so many books, and I would read a lot of like wilderness survival books, like My Side of the Mountain, and like, you know, just books, whether fantasy or fiction or like nonfiction, where like, you know, someone did that, where they could just live off in the woods and like take care of themselves and stuff. And I mean, I would run away and like be in the woods under a bridge, you know, like sneaking out, stealing food, you know, trying to find berries, you know, and it just never would work out. You know, it's not really how it is in the books. You know, you read a book and there's always like, you know, people always figure it's because the story, it's not real life, so people always find a way, but, you know, it's a lot harder than it seems. And I would always tell myself, you know, when I'm big enough to take care of myself, I'm going to go and I'm not going to come back. And it was like probably a month after my 16th birthday, I was like, you know, this is, you know, I'm old enough now. I can take care of myself. I don't have to be here. And I mean, my parents didn't try and stop me. I was just like, you know, I was like, I'm ready to go. I want to go. And they packed me a backpack. And I remember my mom looked at me. The last thing she said to me, she said, well, what are you going to do? And I remember looking at her and I just said, I don't know, but I'm going to do it. You know, and like that's how it was, is I had no idea. Yeah, my very, very strict Christian household, very, very sheltered, very, very like in a bubble, you know, like not outside influence. Like we didn't have cable, we didn't have internet. I'd never used a computer. You know, like we were like very sheltered, you know, so I just went out into the world not really knowing what was going to happen. But I just knew that like whatever was out there had to be better than where I was at.
What did you leave with? What did you have on you?
I mean, I didn't even get to pick. My dad packed my backpack for me, and it was like I had like this oversized school backpack. And I mean, he threw like some clothes in there. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a birth certificate. I didn't have an ID. I didn't have a social security card. It was like a bag with some clothes in it. And my mom snuck me a $20 bill because my dad would have freaked out if he knew she gave me any money. And she gave me a $20 bill. So that's how that's how I started my life at 16. You know, I had a backpack with my old school backpack from like 6th grade with some clothes in it and a $20 bill. And I mean, I didn't know anybody because I was homeschooled. I didn't have any friends to go to. We were living in Japan at the time, so they flew me back to the States.
Wait, you were living in Japan during all this?
Yeah, well, for a year. Yeah, for a year. My dad was in the Marines, and we were stationed in Japan. And I lived in Japan, and we lived in Japan, and they put me on a plane and flew me back to the States.
Okay, so when you were 12, 13, and you were first running away,
California.
That was in California. Okay, and then you're in Japan, and you're like, I cannot be with these people anymore. And so your dad says, well, okay, then you don't have to. And he packs you a bag with some clothes. Your mom slips you $20. They put you on a plane from Japan to
Los Angeles.
to California, to LAX.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you land in LAX, and you have no money, and you don't know anyone. Where do you go? What do you do?
I ended up on Skid Row. Like,
how'd you get there? You just walk from LAX.
I mean,
all the way to Skid Row.
I met this guy from Boston out there, and he was basically like, "Kid, what are you doing? Where are you going?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "Well, I'm going this way to do this." And I was just like following behind him. And I mean, he led me to Skid Row, and he turned out to be a crackhead. and so we're like going all up and down Skid Row. I mean, there's like people laying in their own shit and piss on the sidewalk, and we're like stepping over them. And like, he ends up buying crack. He's sitting there smoking crack. And I remember I was like, "Hey, can I have it?" He was like, I wanted to get high. I was like, "Oh, can I smoke some?" And he was like, "Have you ever smoked this before?" And I said, "Nope." And he said, "Then you're not going to do it." And I think about that guy sometimes, because I'm like, man, you know, my life could have been on a lot different trajectory if he had just like not given a fuck and been like, "Yeah, man, here, smoke this crack." Because I was a dumb kid. I was like, I just left my family. I had smoked weed before. I didn't really know what was going on. You know, so yeah, he was like, "No, you're not going to smoke this. You've never done it." And he was like, "So what do you do?" I was like, "Oh, I smoke weed." And he was like, "All right." And we went on Skid Row just like looking for a bag of weed. And you wouldn't believe how hard it was to find a bag of weed on Skid Row. You could find anything but a bag of weed. We finally found some, and I smoked some weed. And I ended up hitting up someone because I was homeschooled for junior high, but then I went to high school. And I ended up hitting up someone that I went to high school with, and he came and picked me up. And I stayed with his family for maybe a year or two. But yeah, and then my life pretty much changed completely, all because of a Facebook ad. So I was like living in Southern California. I got off Skid Row. Because I told this guy that I went to school, I was like, "Man, I'm on Skid Row. I don't know what to do." So he came and got me. I stayed with him and his family. Him and his family were really cool. I ended up getting a job, and I don't know, life just wasn't, I don't know, it was just boring. And I remember sitting there, and I was on Facebook, and I seen this ad for the 420 Festival in Denver, Colorado. And I was just like, I'm going to go to this. And my friend was like, "Dude, you don't know anybody in Colorado. You've never been to Colorado. Don't do this." And I just like got $200 together, got on a Greyhound, and just went to Denver for the 420 Festival. And like, you know, I was always very spontaneous, you know, like, I'm just going to do something. It doesn't matter what anyone's saying. I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how impossible it is. I'm just going to do it. That was always my mentality. And so I go to Denver, and on the bus, I meet this Juggalo dude. He's covered in face tattoos. Like, you would, like if you saw him, you'd be like, "Oh, this guy is sketchy." But he was really nice. He's like this tall guy covered in face tattoos. He had like clown tattoos, like the upside down triangles under his eyes, and like, you know, like this guy looked crazy. And he was like, hey man, like, you know, me and my friends are gonna have this 420 barbecue. And I was like, dude, hell yeah. And he was like, you want to come with me? And I mean, we had been talking on the bus from California to Colorado, and he invited me to their barbecue. So when I got to Colorado, I didn't even sleep outside one night because I went straight to their house. It was like this big juggalo house where like everybody in there is a juggalo, and they're having this huge barbecue and smoking weed, and like everyone was super cool. And I like slept under their kitchen table. But yeah, sorry if that was a lot.
What? No, you know, Jesus, no. Oh my, no. This is super fascinating. It's funny that you bring up juggalos because you know what? It's so funny you bring up juggalos because as you were, I'm making a little documentary about going to the gathering of the juggalos last month. And everything you're talking about, I don't know why, but actually before you even said that you met a juggalo, I was thinking about just like your story is kind of making me think about the gathering of the juggalos. So it's weird that I was thinking about it and then you mentioned that you met a juggalo because the juggalo culture is very like bohemian and welcoming towards you know, people who are like, you know, kind of trying to get their footing, you know. So it's interesting you met one of them. Did you start to get involved in the juggalo culture at all?
I've always been a Deadhead, so I always like the Grateful Dead, and the Deadheads and the Juggalos. We used to say that they're like brothers. They're like stepbrothers. We got the same mom but different dads. And like on like the surface level, you might not think that Deadheads and Juggalos would get along or have a lot in common, but like there's a lot of Juggalos and Deadheads who are like tight as fuck. You know, like they're like best friends. Like yeah, I have a lot of good friends that are Juggalos. You know, I listen to the music a little bit, but yeah, definitely more of a Deadhead. You know, so I didn't really get absorbed into it, but I was like alongside with them.
So you were, I mean, yes. So you took a Greyhound from California to Colorado, met this Juggalo guy.
Yeah, just on a whim.
On a whim. The Juggalo guy, he invites you to this house. There's all these Juggalo people. They're having a party. You sleep there for a little bit, just on a whim. The plan was, but I mean, if you hadn't met this guy, the plan was to just kind of sleep outside?
Yeah, like it was just go to the 420 event. And I can talk to pretty much anybody. I can just walk up to somebody. I can just see somebody and just like start talking to them. And, you know, so I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to go there. It feels right. Go talk to some people, you know. But yeah, it was basically just, you know, I've slept outside in California. I was like, yeah, it's summertime or early spring, you know, it's warm enough. But yeah, I ended up staying with them. And then I ended up getting a job with a tree service company. And then I got my own apartment right next door to theirs, so like in the same apartment complex. And which was cool. Working tree service, I did that in Denver for like a year. But then, yeah, I mean, all of my roommates and all of my coworkers were drug addicts. So that's like a lot of things about like, you know, like roofing. A lot of people that do roofing are like meth addicts and opiate addicts. And the kind of same with like tree service, at least in my experience, a lot of the people were meth addicts and heroin addicts. And I still just smoked weed, didn't drink. But that's how I lost it all was, I mean, my roommates were my coworkers. We all worked for the same company. And basically the landlord had enough of their bullshit, you know, having people coming over at all weird hours, you know, just cops being called, just random, you know, just random things when you're living with drug addicts. You know what I mean? So we ended up my boss ended up, he was on parole, and he ended up violating his probation because he was doing drugs, went back to prison, and then none of us had jobs, and then we lost our apartment. And then, because I really wish I had saved more money, because I was making really good money working for tree service, but I had never had that kind of money before. So I was just spending it as fast as I could make it. You know, I didn't have, like, I'd never had a reference for the money like that. Like, there was days where I'd make $1,000 in a day. You know what I mean? I had no idea what to do with that kind of money. You know, and at the end of the day, when we got kicked out, I'm sitting there with all my bags and my cat, and I'm sitting outside. I don't have any money. I don't have anywhere, you know. So that was kind of a life lesson. Was like, just because it's good doesn't mean it always will be good.
What were you spending it on?
Oh man, just like my girlfriend at the time. Like I met this girl online that I was mutual friends with, and I like paid for her to come out there and live with me. And I was buying her stuff. She didn't work, so I would just like go to work and like leave her money and weed and cigarettes and like go to work all day. I'd buy expensive dab rigs, expensive bongs, acid, you know, shoes, clothes, just like movies, just blowing it, man. Like literally just spending it as soon as I would get it. I'd pay rent and I would just spend it. But yeah, pretty much any day off, I would be downtown, and that's where I met dirty kids for the first time, like travelers, like basically hippies, but people that live outside by choice and kind of just like travel around with what's in their backpack. And like, I would hang out with them, drop some acid in the park, smoke some weed, and everybody seems so happy, man. Like, everybody just seems happy. And I was like, they have nothing. They don't own anything. They don't have any stuff. They don't have a house. And they just seem so happy. And like, running around barefoot in the grass with their dogs, smoking weed. And I'd be like, I saw that and I was envious of it. Cause like, I have to go back to my apartment. I have to go do this job. I have to go shovel wood chips all day. I have to go cut trees. You know what I mean? I have to go do all these things, but these people are completely happy just hanging out in the grass. And basically that's where I went when I got kicked out of the apartment, didn't have the job, had all my bags around me, had my little cat. I was like, what do I do? And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go down to the park and talk to those guys. And I went down there and I was like, hey, you know, I just lost my job. I just lost my apartment and I don't know what to do. And they were like, oh, dude, you can hang out with us. And, you know, at that point, still my mind was like, oh, if you need money, you get a job. So, like, I immediately, like, went restaurant to restaurant, store to store. Hey, I need a job. Hey, I need a job. Got a job under the table at a sushi place in downtown Denver, making cash. The guy never even asked me my name. I never filled out a job application. He was just like, oh, can you start tomorrow? And I started working there. And then I would work at the sushi place and then get on my skateboard and just skate down to the park, sleep in the park with everybody, drop acid, smoke weed. My boss eventually found out that I was homeless. I didn't tell him, and I thought I was going to get fired. He was like, oh, why didn't you tell me you live outside? Because he seen me out there one night. And I was like, oh, I didn't want you to, you know, fire me. And he was like, oh, well, and then after that, he started giving me a meal every day. So every day I'd go into work, he'd let me have a meal, and he'd let me leave my backpack there. He was really cool. I felt bad when I quit that job. You know, I really did. When I told him I was quitting, you know, I felt pretty bad, but I was like, I don't know. I was ready. I wanted to go to San Francisco. And it's kind of crazy, but you hear about San Francisco and you're like, oh, it's like a hippie paradise, you know? That's what you would think. At least that's what I thought. You know, I was like, oh, I'm going to get there and it's going to be a bunch of people like here smoking weed, hanging out. So I quit my job and I started hitchhiking to San Francisco. And I remember, I didn't have a backpack. All I had was a pair of shorts, shoes, a shirt, and a bed sheet because someone stole all my stuff. And I just like looked at the map and followed started walking down the highway with my thumb out. And it took me less than a week to get to San Francisco from Denver. My first time. That was my first time. That was my first real hitchhiking trip. I had done small ones like 50 miles, 100 miles, but that was my first real getting your feet wet into it. Was Denver to San Francisco. And I got to San Francisco and it was not what I thought. It was cold. The air is very wet. It's very damp. It's very cold. And the streets are very harsh. There's a lot of hard drugs, a lot of people with mental illness problems and a lot of people on drugs and just like, it wasn't that safe and it wasn't that fun. So then I was like, all right, it's cold. I'm going to start hitchhiking south. And that's literally how it all unraveled. Like, there was always another place to go to. There was always another thing to do. Like, I never like set out like, oh, this is how I'm going to live my life. Like, it was just like, oh, I'm going to go here and do this thing. And it was like, oh, this kind of sucks. I'm going to go here and do this thing. And so I ended up in Arizona at the gem shows, which I don't know if you've heard about it, but the Tucson Gem Show is like the world's largest rock and mineral exhibition. And people from all over the world have all these different minerals and rocks and gemstones, and everybody's like hanging out. It's a huge thing. It's crazy. And so I was there working at the gem show, like unloading boxes of rocks, setting up booths. Because if you show up there earlier and you just walk around, you're like, hey man, you need a hand? You need a hand? And like, you can get a job just unloading rocks, setting up booths. You don't need an ID, just under the table work. And at the end of that, I heard about a rainbow gathering. I had never heard. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a gay thing, and I don't have anything against gay people, but I was like, oh, that's probably not for me. And then I realized it was like, it's just called Rainbow Gathering, but it's like meant to be what society would be like if there wasn't money, or like it kind of shows you how, like, okay, so they pick like a national forest, everybody shows up, and you learn how to dig a latrine and put lye in it so everybody can shit in it and not spread disease. And they show you how to get water from the river and purify the water. And, there's different kitchens that show up and make food, and you help get firewood. And they call it leaving Babylon. So you like leave the sidewalk and you go in the woods and you're like living in like a little mini society for a little while. And then they have these gatherings all over the world, not just in the United States. They have them all over the world. And I went to a lot of them, and they're a lot of fun. But yeah, I was doing that for probably 5 years, just hitchhiking around the United States, going to different rainbow gatherings, doing different seasonal work, like, oh, let's go harvest potatoes, let's go harvest sugar beets, let's go trim marijuana, so yeah, I would do jobs like that, like go to the Pacific Northwest when I knew everybody was pulling their weed plants, and you just hang out outside Home Depot. So like these towns where people are growing weed up in the mountains, there's only one Home Depot for like hundreds of miles. So any weed farmer has to go to this Home Depot. So I would just hang out there with like some weed trimming scissors in my hand. And eventually someone will pick you up and be like, oh, how many pounds can you trim in a day? And if they like your answer, they'll take you up to the mountain, provide you with food, room, and board, and you just trim weed all day. And I mean, sometimes for months. And you're just way up on this mountain, like, no cell phone service, no roads anywhere. Like, the type of mountain where in the winter people got to use snowmobiles to get off it. And you basically just trust these farmers that they're going to pay you. And I mean, it was nice to like get a break from living on the road. And, you know, like for a while you can just live in this little shack on a mountain and trim weed. And it was cool because, I mean, there'd be like 12-foot weed plants hanging from the ceiling. I'd wake up just surrounded by hanging weed. You wake up and you can smoke as much weed as you can as long as you can keep working. And I would just wake up, fucking, there'd be like a mason jar full of oil, dab oil. I'd roll a fat joint, put some oil on it, smoke it. And you're just covered in weed. Like the weed sticks to everything. It sticks to your socks, your clothes. I would just wake up, 12-foot weed plants hanging from the ceiling, just grab some colas, start trimming. Yeah, and that was like, see, different seasonal jobs like that is basically how I stayed alive.
So for those 5 years that you were doing this, did you hang on to anyone, or was it really just you for 5 years? Like, do you have any sort of recurring people in your life over that time?
I was out there for a total of 12 years. Not really. I mean, the most constant thing in my life was my dog.
Your dog went with you everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't have him in the beginning. I ended up getting my first dog because I was tired of getting robbed. Like, sleeping was the most dangerous part of living out there, is because people that don't sleep, they're just out scheming at night looking for people that are sleeping that they can take advantage of. Like, sleeping was hands down the most dangerous part of living out on the road. Like you just get accustomed to survival. Like, I would have to position my head a certain way every night when I went to bed just to limit the ways that people could walk up on me, because you don't want someone to just be able to walk right up on your head. You know, so I would sleep like with my head to like a big wall or a rock or a big tree, or like, and people, it was serious, man, because you don't know if you could be sleeping and then all of a sudden someone's stealing your shoes and your backpack and like whatever, you know. So I got tired of waking up with no shoes, waking up with no backpack. So I got my first dog, and I never got robbed in my sleep again. I made a deal with my dog. I was like, hey, you know, I'll love you. I'll give you the comfort that you need, the food, the water. You just help me not get robbed in my sleep anymore. But I have my doggo Ryan. He's my second. My first dog that I had on the road got stolen. And it was one of the hardest things I had to go through. Was I hopped my very first freight train with that dog. So I went hitchhiking for maybe 5 years, and then I met some train hoppers. So I was in Manitou Springs, Colorado, which is this beautiful little mountain town in Pikes Peak National Forest. That place has natural soda water. So like, kind of like the water that I have here in Oregon, it's instead over there, it's carbonated. So it's like natural soda mineral water just coming out of the ground, and there's all these fountains, and different fountains have different levels of carbonation and like minerals, so they all taste different.
Can I ask real quick about so this first dog that was stolen, what kind of dog was it?
She was like what people would call like a res dog. Like, she kind of looked like coyote mixed, like random desert looking dog. Like, she was vicious. She's like a tiny little, like, like a brown dog with pointy ears, like kind of like the dogs that you'll see like around native reservations in the South, like in the desert areas.
How did you connect with this dog? How'd you find her?
Oh, I was at this truck stop, And there was these other travelers there. And I walked up, and the dog ran away from them and jumped into my arms. And I'm holding this dog. I'm like, what the fuck? And the people were like, dude, that's not our dog. We rescued that dog. That dog hates everybody. And I didn't really understand what they meant by this dog hates everybody, because this dog's in my arms. And like, we all camped together, and then the next day they're like, dude, you know, you can have that dog. And so I kept the dog, and then I realized what they meant by she hates, and she would bite anybody, a child, an old lady, a woman, a man, anyone. And she wouldn't growl, she wouldn't bark, she would just lunge and attack them. And like if someone was trying to hand me money, I would have to walk away from the dog and take the money. If like someone was trying to give me a fist bump or a handshake or anything, I would have to walk away from the dog. Like people, like drunk women would come out of the bars and be like, oh my God, can I pet your dog? And I'd be like, no. And then they would be like, no, dogs love me. And then they'd get bit. Or people wouldn't ask. I'd be standing there and like turn away, and someone would try to pet my dog. And I mean, that was the dangerous part. She wouldn't give any warning. She wouldn't growl. She wouldn't bark. She would just bite. So then I understood what those people meant by this dog hates everybody. Like, I don't know. It was like that dog knew me. It was like I just walked up the truck stop and it just ran and jumped into my arms. And like, I didn't understand how important that was when I first met the dog. But then after being with her for so long, I was like, oh, that was really special. You know, like, this dog hates everyone.
Wow. That's so fast. I truly wonder what it must have been. Do you have any idea, any hypothesis, anything at all about what it was about you as a stranger in that moment that she connected with you over anyone else?
I had never even had a dog. Like, when I was a kid, my parents never got me a dog. I had only ever had cats. I have literally it was like the dog knew me. Like, it was like I just walked up and it was like it knew me, and it just ran to me and just jumped in my arms. And like, and then we were camping, and I remember like laying there in my camp just thinking about that dog. Like, I was like, man, such an awesome dog. She's so cool. And then the next morning they were like, man, we thought about it and we think you should have this dog. Because they had their own dogs, and that was like, it was like a dog that they were just like helping out because it needed them at that moment.
Mm.
And yeah, and I hitchhiked around with her. And then, yeah, like I said, we were in Manitou Springs, and I was living in a cave in the mountains. There's like a stream in front of the cave, and I would wash my clothes in there. I'd take my clothes, put them in the river, put the rocks on them, and just let the river be like a washing machine and wash my clothes. And the cave was like made of clay, and it went really deep, so it was nice and cool in the summer. And there'd be like a dozen of us in there, eating mescaline, eating acid, eating mushrooms, just living in this cave. And then we'd go out at night into the town and like play music and get leftovers, bring the food back to the cave, share it with everybody. But I ended up meeting some train hoppers, and they were staying in the cave, and we had a fire, and we're all sitting around the fire, and they're telling me all these stories about riding trains. And I was like hanging on every word. Like, it sounded like the ultimate adventure, you know, like it was insane. Like, I was like, wow. And then I hung out with them for a couple of days. And then they were going to leave, and I was like, oh, where are you guys going? And they're like, oh, we're going to Pueblo, Colorado to hop out of here. And then they were like, do you want to come with us? And me, I was like, yes. And so many times in my life, I'm glad I took opportunities like this, where it's just like, it changed the entire trajectory of my life, just saying yes. Just like taking a chance, you know what I mean? Like, even if it seems crazy, even if everyone's telling you not to, just taking that chance, because you never know what doors it's going to open. And yeah, hopping my first train was one of the most terrifying things I've ever done. It was very scary. Yeah, the guy, his name was Scruffalopagus. And then the lady, her name was Mama Red. And they brought me on my first train.
Why was it so scary?
It was scary. Okay, so there was like 8 of us with just as many dogs. Okay, it's nighttime. We've been waiting in this train yard for days. We're trying to go east. And so Scruffy had told me, he said, hey, the railroad police, the railroad workers, the bull, they're like a T-Rex. If you don't move, they won't see you. That's what he told me. He said, don't move. If you don't move, they're not going to see you. And like everybody wore like neutral colors, you know, like earth tones, browns, grays, dark greens. Everybody had like a bandana over their face and a hood pulled up, and you know what I mean? Like, it was serious. We're all hiding in the shadows. Well, the train pulls up, and it's an old junk train, like a grain train that they fill with grains, and you know, they got oil tankers, maybe a couple box cars. Now, we all climb on this train, and we're laying there on the grainer porch. It's hard to describe. It's like they got these cars that they fill with good. They open the top and fill them with grain, but then at the bottom there's like a ladder, and sometimes there's a little platform right there you can lay on. And so we're laying there, and as I'm laying there waiting for the train to leave, I got my dog. I got my backpack on. I'm holding my dog to my chest. I got my bandana over my face. I got my hood pulled up, and I'm laying there. And I hear the rocks crunching, because there's all these rocks along the railroad track, and I hear them crunching. Someone's walking towards me. And I look down the side of the train, and I see a railroad worker coming down with a lantern. He's shining his light at each of the grainer porches, walking closer and closer and closer. And I looked at the guy next to me, and I was like, dude, I'm going to get out of here. Because on the other side of the train, there was like an opening in the fence, and there was a big abandoned building. And I was like, I'm going to get up, and I'm going to go. And he said, no, remember what Scruffy told you. If you don't move, they won't see you. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like, just lay down. So I'm laying there. My heart's racing. I'm holding my dog. And the crunching is getting louder and louder and louder. And I'm laying there, and I'm eye level to this guy. He shines the light right on me. He's looking me dead in my eyes. And then he just puts the light down and just keeps walking. My heart felt like it was going to come out of my mouth. Like, it was like, pow, 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 pow. And I'm just holding my dog as tight as I can. And then the train shakes. We go backwards, and then it screeches. And then we start moving. And then we start moving faster, and the wind's blowing. And I remember I'm holding the railing, and I'm like sticking my head out, and the wind's blowing. And the brake dust, you can smell the brake dust on the train. And like every time it goes around a curve, it like screeches, and like, oh man, that first train ride was just like exhilarating. As soon as I did, I was like, I am going to do more of this. And it was kind of crazy because the train didn't go east. It went back to Denver. And I had tried so hard to leave Denver. Like, it took me forever to get to Manitou Springs. And I just ended up all the way back in Denver. But those guys, they drank too much alcohol for me. So they like, you know, it was funny. Everybody has like a funny name out there. And they were calling me, my name is Trip out there. And they were calling me Trip the Schwilly. Because like a Schwilly kid is someone that drinks a lot of alcohol. And I didn't drink any alcohol. So they gave me the name Trip the Schwilly. Which was funny. I just didn't drink at all, and everyone drank a lot of booze. So I like left, and like the first few trains I hopped, I was terrified of doing it during the daytime, so I'd only do it at night. And I didn't even know which way it was going. You know, like that was a beautiful time in life, like not having anywhere to go. You're just living, you're just going to go, you know what I mean? Like I would just get on the train just because I know it's leaving. And it took me years to like figure out which ones are going what way, why they're going that way, you know? Yeah, all in all, I was out there for 12 years. And
man.
Yeah, I rode trains every corner of the United States. I've rode freight all through the United States and Canada. I eventually did Canada because I was like bored. It was kind of like riding a taxi. Like, it got so predictable. I knew where the train was going to stop. I knew where it was going to go. I knew what to expect. I knew when to hide. I knew when not to hide. I knew when to run. That's the thing. When you're riding freight, you got to know when to run and when to hide. And it got mundane to me. It was like, I know what to expect. This was after years and years. So then me and my current dog, my dog Orion, who I still have him, he's 11 years old now. But me and him rode into Canada. No ID, no passport. And we started in Vermont, rode into Montreal, and then we rode all the way to Vancouver and then walked over the border. And it's one of my greatest achievements. Honestly, I think it's my best adventure ever. You know, because everybody told me not to do it. They're like, dude, don't do it. You're going to get deported. Don't do that. It's insane. And I was like, I got to do it. And I pretty much asked anybody I could, any train hopper I met. Before I went up there, I was like, hey, have you ever been to Canada? Do you know anybody that's been to Canada? You know, I wanted to know, how'd you get up there? How long did you stay up there? Did you get deported? Why'd you get deported? How'd you get caught? You know, I just talked to anybody I met. You know, and I just put all the information together. And I learned a lot. You know, I learned, you know, Canada really doesn't like public drinking. So a lot of these kids that were riding trains up there, they were getting arrested and deported because they were like publicly intoxicated. But
where would they even send you when you got deported?
I mean, I didn't get deported, but they would hold you in jail and then send you back to America. I'm not sure where exactly, but maybe just right over the border. I'm not sure exactly, but I know that they would just hold you and then bring you back. And that's like the ultimate failure. You failed. You know, my goal was, Montreal to Vancouver, and I did it in 3 trains. And I mean, I ran from the Mounties 3 times, lied to them and got out of it one other time. I was up there for like 2 months. I met some amazing people, dude. People up there, like, you hear that Canadians are stereotypically nice. They fucking were. Like, I met some, like, I'd just be walking and people would just like put money out the window. They'd just be like, here, man. I'm just walking down the street. I'm like, man, I must look rough. Like, I must look like I need it. Fucking, I met some amazing people. I met people that's the thing about living out there, man, with no money and just like, you just got what's on your back. The people that hang out with you and the people that stop to talk to you, you know that it's because they actually want to talk to you and they think you're a cool person. It's not because you got something they need. It's not because you got coke at a party. It's not because you got a nice car. It's not because you got a nice job. It's not because they think that you're well off. You know, like, I felt like I met a lot more down to earth and real people because it put me in those situations to meet those people. Because, I mean, dude, for so long, I was the kind of person, if someone saw me, they usually didn't look at me twice. They wouldn't even look at me once. So if someone stopped and got on my level to talk to me, a lot of times they'd be like, dude, you're fucking cool as hell. They're like, you're an actual person. You know? And that's the thing is, like, it's easy to look out your car window and see someone on the streets and be like, oh, I know what their situation is. Oh, they could have done X, Y, and Z to get out of this. They could, you know, but you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what kind of childhood trauma they got. You don't know how hard it is to get a social security card when you've been chronically homeless for over a decade. You know, there's a lot. I just wish people had more compassion, and I wish that they could see that they're, you know, the people living outside aren't your enemy. Those are your neighbors. You know, Like those are your neighbors. Like you're not any better than anyone just because you have something and they don't.
So, I want to get into this. So you were doing this for 12 years from about 16 to 28?
Yeah.
And now you have a kid, and it sounds like you got a car, and you are like
I still haven't got a car. That's the crazy thing is I've never had a driver's license, and I'm kind of really.
Sorry, I guess I only assumed that because I thought you were driving to this spring when we first started talking with the water.
My girlfriend does I mean, I have a bike and I bike, but we live in a small town where I can pretty much, I bike to work, I bike to the food bank, I bike a lot, and I don't know, cars give me a lot of anxiety.
Same.
And I never learned how to drive, and I just don't really have an interest in doing it. And my life's not really, like I get around. I don't know. A lot of people, their cars, like their personality and like their manliness and like their masculinity, you know what I mean? But I don't attach that to a big piece of machinery.
So, well, what I was gonna say is, okay, so when you were 28, like, how'd you meet the person you're with now, and then how'd you have a kid? And you see, is it accurate to say that you're less nomadic than you were at that time now?
Yeah, definitely.
How'd you, kind of, I want to hear about that transition.
So, it's kind of funny. I met my girlfriend on Instagram, and I followed one of her friends on Instagram, and then I seen her in a picture, and I was like, man, she's cute. She's like this little dark-haired, dready girl, and I was like, I just messaged her, and I didn't even say anything. I just sent her a picture of me holding a cardboard sign that said blah blah bum stuff. And I just sent it to her, and then we started talking, and I asked her, I was like, hey, you ever ride trains? That was like my pickup line. I was like, hey, you ever ride freight? And she had only ever hitchhiked, and so we met up to ride trains. And it was fun. We were living inside of a bridge, like literally inside of it. Like a lot of the infrastructure around the city is built hollow to make it cheaper. And we had found a little door that led inside of a bridge, and I got my own lock and replaced it. And we were just living in there, and she got pregnant. And, she asked me if I would go back home to her home in Ohio and be a dad. And at the time, I was like, no, I'm going to ride trains. I'm going to keep riding trains. Like, you're crazy to think that we can be parents. I was like, how could I, that was the main thing in my head was like, how could I be a dad if I don't even know what it's like to have a good dad? My parents were terrible role models. I didn't know, like, I still have problems with dealing with my own childhood. How could I be a dad? Those are all the things that were running. I'm like, we live in a wall. We eat garbage. I shower once a month. I'm like, you cannot be parents. You know what I mean? And those are the kinds of things that were running through my head. And so I told her no. I said, I'm going to stay. I'm going to keep riding trains. And so she went to the Greyhound, and she got a Greyhound. She went home to Ohio. And then a while later, she told me, hey, I'm going to have the baby. The baby was born December 3rd. And I rode trains in the middle of winter to Ohio. And I saw the baby being born. I held my daughter. And then I left. And, a lot of people say, they're like, oh, when you hold your kid for the first time, something changes. And I mean, it didn't change for me right away. It wasn't like this magic thing like, oh, you see the kid, all of a sudden you're going to make it work. And I feel like it would have been selfish of me to try to make it work because I knew I wasn't ready. Like, I knew if I stay, I'm going to go. And I didn't want to do that to them. You know what I mean? I felt like it was better to be away than to be there just to rip it all away. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I kept riding trains, kept traveling, and I probably would still be out there if it wasn't for some really nice people that I met off Reddit, of all places.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, there was this, I used to post a lot on Reddit. I don't anymore, but I used to post a lot on there about me riding trains and stuff, and people would follow my adventures and donate money to me because I'd be, you know. And there's this person who lived in Sacramento, and it was like pretty much every week she'd send me like $50 to $100. Like, it was crazy. I was like, this is insane. And then I'm in Oregon picking mushrooms around Thanksgiving, and she messages me and she's like, hey, do you want to come to Thanksgiving dinner? And I sat there and thought about it. I was like, I literally could not remember the last time anybody had invited me to a Thanksgiving dinner. Like, it had been years and years and years and years. Like, every holiday for me was just a Wednesday. It was just a Tuesday. It was just, oh, I'm behind this gas station, you know? And it meant a lot that they invited me. So I went down there. I got on the train, rode down to Sacramento from Portland. And I got there, and I was only supposed to be there for a day or two. These people had a nice house, tons of money, kids, just regular people. And they liked me so much, and I liked them, that they were like, you know, she asked me, she said, you know, if you could have anything, what do you need right now? And like, she asked me, like, what do you need? And I told her, I was like, I'm tired. You know, I'm tired. I was like, I need to rest. I need to just relax and rest. And so they literally sold their house and bought a bigger house that had an extra bedroom. And I stayed with them for a couple of years and learned how to live inside again. And it was hard because I would pack all my stuff and leave it, and I'd go ride trains, and then I'd just like feel like I was stuck in this revolving door, you know. I was like, there's nothing out here for me. I've already done it. I've already seen it. And I would end up going back and staying with them. And that kind of went on for a couple of years, just going back, leaving, going back. Well, you know, I had to learn how to be stagnant. I had to learn how to, because that's the thing is when you're go, because I would never stay anywhere more than 3 days usually.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime anything got bad, you just go. And you when you stop, everything you were going from catches up to you. Then you have to deal with stuff, you know? So, like, if I didn't have that time to be in that safe space with them, I don't know if I could have been a dad and been here with my family, because, you know, I would have just left. If I had gone there, I wouldn't have been ready, and I would have just left. So they gave me like the no judgmental, unconditional love. I had never known unconditional love. They gave me unconditional love. Like, you know, you deserve love. That was a lot of things with my self-worth. You know, I felt like I deserved to live on the streets. I felt like I deserved to be on the sidewalk. I felt like I deserved to be cold. I felt like my self-worth was so little, you know, like I thought that's what my life was always supposed to be. And anyway, I had this room. They paid for my food, my weed. They paid for everything.
This is just a random family that you met on Reddit from sharing your adventures on some subreddit.
They showed me more love than my own family ever had.
Yeah.
They showed me compassion. They showed me that I could love myself. And it just blew my mind. Like, my own family, because that's what I struggled with so long, was like, you know, I don't deserve love. My own family couldn't love me. My own family doesn't know if I'm alive or dead. You know, and like, how could anyone else?
Mm.
You know, so I had to deal with that. But yeah, they gave me the space to just work everything out, work through the trauma. They gave me the space to just be myself, you know, and I got through it and I still wasn't happy. I felt like something was missing. Like I was sitting there, sun shining, a beautiful house, fridge full of food, everything. I still wasn't happy. Like there was something missing in my life, and I realized, you know, 10 years are gonna go by quick. My kid's gonna grow up, not gonna know me, not gonna want to know me. You know, the time's gonna go by fast. And so yeah, me and her mom reconnected, and she asked me if I wanted to come see them. And I thought that I was only gonna visit. Like I didn't think that it was gonna be a whole thing. And so I went to one last music festival. I went to Hardly Strictly in San Francisco. It was one of the only things I used to go to San Francisco for. There's a annual free bluegrass show in Golden Gate Park called Hardly Strictly, and it's like 3 days of live music. They got all the live stages and food, and like it's a really chill time. They clean out Golden Gate Park, and then it's just like a bluegrass show. And it's been free forever, like since they've been having it. It's awesome. And I went there, had a great time, went to the Bay, hopped out, and I rode trains from basically Oakland to Florida. And then I got on a bus from Florida up to North Carolina, where they were staying in Section 8 housing. And I mean, man, they were like living in the projects. They were like living off government vouchers and like this giant honeycomb apartment complex. My kid was running around. I've never seen a cockroach infestation so bad. My kid's running around just like catching cockroaches. You know, I'm there, and I'm like, you know, I couldn't leave. Like, I thought I was just going there to see them and to visit. But once I got there, like, I'm looking at my daughter, and she's looking at me. And it was like I was looking at myself, and I couldn't just leave. You know, like, I couldn't just leave them to live like that. And I stayed there for a year. Yeah, now we live in Oregon, and we live in like a duplex, so it's not like a giant apartment. We have like a shared backyard. We live less than a mile from the beach. I live like right on the beach, you know. I work at a resort as a housekeeper. And that was the hard thing, is, you know, living that long without having a job or like being a part of society, and like that's probably some of the hardest parts. It's just, yeah, like, I got a problem with authority, so having people telling me what to do, and just like, it's hard working for money when I do, you know, like when I would live on the road, people would see me and they'd be like, oh, you're a road warrior, you're traveling. Like, a lot of people didn't see me like a regular homeless person per se, you know. They would be like, oh, you're the traveler, you know, so they'd want to help me out because I'm leaving. So it's hard sometimes when it's like, yeah, people used to just throw money and food at me, but now I fucking scrub toilets for food and money. but it's worth it, man. That's all I gotta keep telling myself, is that it's worth it, because, you know, when I was out there on the road one time, this older guy told me, he said, you know, it's a good adventure, but it's not a good life. Mm-hmm. And I laughed in his face, and I said, you're an idiot, old man. You don't know what you're talking about. And then the older I got, the more I realized he was right. Like, it's not sustainable to live like that. Like, I think everyone should, you know, maybe hitchhike 1,000 miles. Maybe, you know, like maybe just take a break and just like rely on yourself and go have an adventure. But I don't think it's not a good life. And yeah, it took some growing up to kind of come to those terms, you know.
It's a good adventure, but it's not a good life.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And almost everybody that I knew is dead. Like, from alcoholism or fentanyl, or they're in prison, or they got cut in half by a train. Like, there was a lot of people that I knew would drink a lot of alcohol, do heroin, and go hop trains, and then get their arm cut off, get their leg cut off, get cut in half, get paralyzed. Like, yeah, yeah. And the crazy thing is like, I knew that I could die any moment out there, but I was just living to live. I didn't really, like, think about 5 years in the future or 10 years in the future. It was just day to day. Like, what do I need today? What does my dog need today? You know, like, but now I worry about, now I sit here and I think about 10 years from now. I think about 5 years from now. Mm. It's a lot different. And yeah, the other day I saw some train hoppers here just like I got off work, went to bike home, and I just started crying. And I was like, can I just talk with you guys? Cause like, and they got up there like, dude, we need to give you a hug. And they're just like, these random people just hugging me. And I'm like, man, I wish I could be still just sitting here with my dog. But at the same time, like, I know that I have to be here, and like that part of my life's over. Yeah, man. I've wanted to talk to you for a long time.
I'm so glad you did. Oh man. So you've been with your family for a year.
Yeah, it's been about a year.
And how are you feel like when you say you haven't you're kind of new to thinking about the future. And when you are thinking about the future, what are your feelings about it? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you, how do you feel when you think about the future?
I'm excited because there's, like, I used to be really suicidal. I used to just want to die. And now I just want to live. And I wish that I could go and tell myself in the past, like, hey, it's not always going to be like this. It's going to get better, because it does. And it's hard when you're in it to see that. Mm-hmm. But I worry, man. I worry because I work so hard, and I just want my daughter to, like, do good in life. And I don't want her to work as hard as I do. And, like, I don't want her life to be as hard as mine is. And, like, I just worry that no matter how hard I try, that it's just, like, genetic, or because we're poor, that, like, she's not going to have a good chance in life. And then I know I can't think like that, but, like,
well, bro, I mean, think about it like this, man. I mean, well, I have a few things I want to say, but I want to, have you seen your parents since you were 16? Have you talked to them at all?
I went, they lived in North Carolina, and when I went to see my daughter and my girlfriend, I just showed up. I didn't tell them I was coming because I had no contact with them, and I just showed up, and I confronted my dad with a lot of things, and I just really don't like the answer that he had for me, because I was like, dude, I was basically like, why were you so hard on me? Like, like, why did you throw me around? Why did you scream at me? Why were you so mean? Like, what? And all he had to say was that his dad was an alcoholic and his dad was mean to him. Mm-hmm. He was like, that's not good enough. Because my dad was an alcoholic. My dad beat the shit out of me, and I don't do that to my kid. Mm-hmm. So I just felt like it just wasn't good enough. Like, and I told him, I don't forgive you. Like, that's not good enough. That's not enough. Mm-hmm. I thought I would have closure, but it's just like, you know, and I would tell him things like, oh, you know, this traumatic thing that happened in my childhood still affects me today. And I would tell him about it, and then he'd just say, oh, I don't remember that. Oh, that didn't happen. And I'm like, what do you mean it didn't happen? Like, this is something that shaped my whole life, and you're telling me it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're really, 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 like, ultra evangelical Christians. So, like, all he ever says is, oh, that's the devil. That's the devil in your head telling you things. Anything good that happens, oh, that was God. Anything bad that happens, oh, that's the devil. That's the devil putting lies in your head to trick you. And it's like the ultimate gas. You're trying to gaslight me with some fucking demons and shit. You know, so it was just... They basically acted like I died. Like, they had all these pictures of me from when I was a kid, and just, like, they've just always been waiting, like, the story of the prodigal son, you know, like, waiting for the son to just, like, come back. And my dad told me, you know, like, he kept setting, like, timelines. Okay, by the time he's 20, he'll come back and he'll have his share. He'll have his fill of sin out there in the world, and he'll just come back. Oh no, okay, by 22, by 25, and I'm like, yeah, I've always been here, but I mean, like, who I am is who I am. They just don't accept me for who I am, and it's okay to cut off your family. You know, that's what it is. It's hard. But sometimes your family is just like, it's better to be away from them. It's better to not talk to them. And it's hard, you know, like the other day I was biking home from work, and I saw this guy my age in a driveway with an older guy that looked like his dad, and they're sitting there shooting some hoops. And I just think about, I'm like, what would it be like, you know, to just be able to hang out with my dad and just like, talk to him. Just like normal people. That's all I ever wanted. I just wanted to be a normal person, have a normal life.
Well, let me. I mean, well, let me tell you something, man. This is just from my vantage point here. Is like, I can tell how deeply you really, really, really care about your daughter not having had it as rough as you, and I'm really, really sorry that you had it this rough. But I'll say that the good news is that I know that you're like really anxious and worried about your daughter having a nice life and not having to have dealt with the things that you had to deal with. But you're in a really like great position where, like, I mean, bro, like you're fucking there, you know, like you're fucking there, you know, and whether or not, regardless of whatever material resources you do or don't have, or your daughter does, like you're fucking there, man. You're there, and you care, and you love her, you know, and that's it, right?
I appreciate that.
I think that like I don't think you have to worry about whether or not your daughter's gonna feel like you were there for her, and it's nice, man. It's like, it fucking sucks shit that your dad came back to you with like, oh well, my dad was like this, and his dad was like that. And I'm sure his fucking dad was like, and I'm sure you're a part of a fucking long cycle of like, you know, absenteeness, and it's like, it's fucking sucks shit. And I'm sorry, and I feel your pain that you are a part of that cycle, but you have this, I'm not even going to say opportunity, because it's something you're doing. It's not even an opportunity. It's just, it's your life. You know, it's embodied and expressed by the decisions that you've made to be there with your kid, where you're doing this really tremendously powerful, beautiful, amazing thing where you're breaking the cycle because you're fucking there for your daughter, you know? You get in the car and you're going to the spring and you're filling up water, you know? Like, you're fucking there, you know? So, again, I'm really sorry that I can feel that you feel a lot of pain at being part of this cycle, but brother, I'm very, very proud of you, and I deeply commend you for breaking the cycle and being there for your daughter and giving a shit and going back and, you know, and being here. And I hope that, you know, I know from what you've expressed that you've had a lot of, you know, self-image problems. And I really hope, and I really want you to understand that, like, bro, you're beautiful, you know? Like, it's a beautiful thing that you're I don't even want to say doing. It's like you're living it. And I hope you feel good. I hope that makes you feel good. I hope that makes you sleep easy at night when you're in the house with your family, with your daughter, that you're there. And life gets hard, and sometimes you try to do shit and it doesn't always work, but like, you're trying, you know? You're not just like doing what your dad did. Like, your dad came back to you, man, with the bullshit excuse of like, well, my dad was like this, and that fucked you up, and you know, you could have easily done that to your daughter, but you didn't because you're a fucking, because you're a great guy. So I hope you recognize that about yourself, and that you feel that and you understand that, and you let that be a thing that lets you live your life a little bit lighter and a little bit less anxious and heavy. That you understand that you're doing all the right stuff, and that you don't beat yourself up if everything doesn't go fucking perfectly, you know?
Yeah, I think that's part of the trauma. I think when things are going really good, I'm just always worried that they're about to fall apart. And I think that's something I gotta work through. You know, I'm always like when things are good, I'm like, oh no. You know, I'm like, oh no, well, what's gonna happen? And then nothing happens. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's just me. So.
You said your daughter is 7 now?
Yeah, she's about to be. Yeah, she's almost 7. She just started first grade.
Cool. How's she doing? Like, what's she into? How's she doing?
She's doing good. She is struggling in school already. And I see a lot of myself in her, and I just want her to do good in school. But and I mean, the problems that she has is like what I think would be normal. She just like wants to be a kid. She wants to do what she wants to do, and she has trouble like listening to authority and like following structure and guidance. You know, they're just trying to put her into the meat grinder of school. You know how you either fit or you don't. And so I feel like I like that she can socialize with other kids, because that was something I missed out on. You know, I didn't really get to have friends or socialize with people my own age. So I think that's important for her. But yeah, right at this stage, she's just like obsessed with like cats and Legos, and we have pet roly-polies, which is pretty cool. Most people are like, what do you mean you have pet roly-polies? Like, little isopods, little roly-polies. We have, like, there's, like, a community of people that keep, like, exotic ones that have different colors, and we have, like, white ones with yellow and black spots, and we have zebra ones that are black with white stripes, and I don't know. When I was a kid, I was really into bugs and shit. And dude, if my dad had shown any interest in anything that I liked like that would have been huge. So yeah, we live in like a tiny town with a lot of like trees and forests and stuff around. So I take her out on hikes, and we go on hikes, and I try to teach her. We feed the crows. There's crow. Me and her will go feed the crows together, and I try to teach her, you know, to respect nature, and all life is valuable, even if it's small. Its life still has value, you know. So we go rock hound. I bring her to look for fossils. There's like certain areas near us where you can find a lot of like marine fossils, like shells and stuff. So we'll go and do that. He likes wearing little cat ears and cat tails. And it's just fun when people are like, oh, what is she into? Like, she's into cats. Like, I don't know. She really likes cats.
That sounds appropriate for a 7-year-old, yeah.
Yeah.
You sound like a great dad, man. You're doing all this great stuff.
I try, man. I just try. And my dad saw his wife and his children as property. You know, like they were a dresser or a nightstand. You know, like they were his things that he could do whatever he wanted because they're his. You know, and I treat my girlfriend and my daughter like they're their own individual people. Mm-hmm. You know, she tells me, oh, I don't want to hug you right now. Okay. Well, I don't want to do that. You know, I treat her like she's a person. You know, I ask her. I try and talk to her like a human being. And, you know, that's one thing I never understood is I told my dad, you know, like, my life's been really hard, man. I've been struggling. And he just told me, oh, my life was hard too. And he just kind of has that mentality of like, oh, if my life was hard, your life should be hard because it'll build character or whatever. Like, no one helped me. Why should anyone help you? But I'm under the impression, I think of it like, you're supposed to make it easier on the next generation so the next generation becomes more educated and their life is a lot easier. And then the next generation, they're even more educated and they make more money and their life is easier. You're not supposed to make it harder on the next generation because it was hard for you and it was hard for your dad. Like, that's just going nowhere. So my parents were really young when they had me too, so I try to look it in perspective. Like, my parents were 16 when they had me, so it's kind of crazy to think, like, when I left home, my parents were, like, my age. And it's hard to think of, like, why was my dad such an asshole so young? Like, why was he such a dick so young? Like, I don't know. It's hard to think, like, oh, dude, he was, like, 22 being that much of an asshole. Like, come on, man. You're not supposed to make it harder on the next generation. You're supposed to make it easier. Build generational wealth. Heal generational trauma.
Do you? I know it's maybe it's hard to do, but for whatever reason. But do you? I hope you acknowledge yourself as having a lot of power and strength, again, like I've been saying, to form your own beliefs about how this shit should go and live it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people just like, oh, they're my parents, this is how things are, but, you know, I've always been like, no, I'm going to make my own path. You know, if they're not going to treat me right, I'm going to go make my own path. I'm going to go make my own family traditions. I'm going to... Just because your family is toxic, just because you're a family doesn't mean you have to put up with it. You know, like, you can set boundaries. You can be like, no, I'm not going to be treated like that. My daughter's not going to be treated like that. We're not going to live like that. So it does take a lot of strength. And that's kind of like what I learned from being on the road for so long, is like, I had that sense, you know, I look around, I look behind me, nobody's there. I look around, nobody knew if I had food. Nobody knew if I had shelter. Nobody knew if I had clothes. Only me. I got myself there. So I feel like that strength I continue now because I'm like, oh, well, I know I can do it. And it is, yeah. I feel like I had pulled myself out from under the sidewalk. You know, like I started with less than nothing. So I feel like I'm catching up to a lot of people my age, but I try not to compare myself too much. Because I'll start feeling about like, oh, like, when will I ever own a house? When will I, you know, this or that? But not everybody starts at the same spot. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody starts at go. Some people start behind me. It's not fair to compare yourself to, even if someone's the same age, it's not fair to compare yourself because not everybody had the same opportunities, you know?
You know, I actually don't know if I ever caught your name. Steve. How do you? I have a lot of questions for you. I mean, how do you feel having talked about all this stuff for the last, let's see, almost hour and a half?
Well, I didn't realize it was that long. I mean, I feel better. I feel like I got some stuff off my chest. I feel better just talking about it. I've been, long time listener, first time call. Yeah, I mean, I've listened for so long. And it kind of helps me. I like listening so much to your show because it helps me not think about my own problems sometimes. Like listen to other people's problems and kind of helps me put it in perspective, you know? Everybody's got different things going on. You never know what someone's got going on. You know, you just see them in that moment. And that's all the reference you have. So I like, just hearing people's stories, hearing what people are going through. You know, and it did, like, I've thought about it so much. Like, what would I talk about? What would I say? And I mean, I got a lot to say, but it just came naturally once I started talking to you. Yeah, you're very easy to talk to. You know, once I started talking to you, it was just, you know.
Bro, have you ever thought about like writing a book or a memoir or I'm sure. I mean, I'll tell you this, and this has got to be. I mean, I've been doing this show for 5 years. This has got to be one of my favorite conversations I think I've ever had. Doing this show, it's fascinating, man. You're really, really good at telling your story. Have you ever? I mean, after 12 fucking years of riding trains, you must have so many stories. Have you ever thought about like doing? I mean, it's awesome. I really appreciate you coming on here and telling your story because I think it's fucking incredible. Have you ever thought about writing a memoir or even like doing little YouTube things or anything like that? I don't know why that's where my brain goes, but I love your stories. You've lived a wild life.
I have thought about it, and I've even had different people reach out to me asking if they could make something with me about it, and nothing ever really pans forward with it. I write poetry sometimes. I do write like in a journal and I write things, but I've never tried to organize it. I gave you like the short version of everything.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I would like to, just so it's not lost, just because I do like sharing my story, and I feel like, there's other people that maybe could take use of, maybe they're going through really hard time. When you're in something, you don't see how it could get better. That's the thing. Like when you're going through it, you don't see how it could possibly get any better, different. And it gets overwhelming. But things really do take wild turns. You can change your life. You know, like a few years ago, I would have thought for sure, you know, I'm gonna die outside on the side of the road somewhere. And now here I am. You know, so yeah. I don't even know where I would start. You know, I guess I should think about it more, but
do you ever if like it's okay if not, and you know, if you want to make something, I was gonna ask you, do you have do you post anything anywhere? I know you said you write poems, right? Do you post anything anywhere? Like if people who are listening to this wanted to keep up with you or anything like that, if that's something you want, you know, not so, you don't have to feel obligated to, but if that was something you want, do you have a thing that anyone listening to this can follow you on or catch up with you on?
I mean, I used to get quite a bit of traction on Reddit and Instagram, and I just I got rid of it. I deleted it's kind of crazy because, yeah, man, I completely hopped off social media because it was not doing so good for my mental health. Like,
I understand that too. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't have Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, Snap, none of those on my phone. I don't use any of those. And like when I got rid of them, dude, my thumb would go and click on the empty space where those apps used to be.
Yeah.
Anytime I had a down moment, my thumb would just go to click those empty spaces. And I used to like all, you know, yeah, I don't right now. It would be awesome because I wish I could show you some pictures riding trains and stuff. But yeah, people I felt it was kind of a debating thing when I deleted everything. I thought about it for a long time. I have a lot of the photos and videos saved, but
well, let me tell you that if you ever do want, again, no pressure to ever, you know, do anything, because I also understand why people, you know, I mean, we had I remember, I don't know if you heard this episode, but we talked to the guy, a little bit of a similar story to yours, who went to go live in a cave in the Tenerife Islands.
Yeah, I listened to that one.
Yeah, and he started Instagram, but then I think he was kind of like, I want to stay offline. But it's up to you. But I just wanted to say, if you ever want to, you know, do something, you can always, I don't know if you have me on Instagram or whatever, but I check my DMs and shit. So if you ever want to send me an email, or if you ever want to start posting anything or whatever, you can send me a DM or an email, and I'll shout it out on, you know, one of the future episodes of the podcast, or on Instagram or something. So, you know, invitation is open if you ever think about it and you want to start doing something like that.
I appreciate that.
I also wanted to, you know, we're live on Twitch right now. If that's cool with you, I guess, you know, before we go, I could ask the Twitch chat if they have any questions they want to ask you. Is that cool?
Yeah. I closed the chat when I answered the call, so I haven't been looking at it.
No, that's okay. I'll give the Twitch chat a second to write some questions, and I'll pick I'll pick some stuff. We have one person said, "Tell Steve he is awesome. Keep doing what he's doing." Little Pig Boy says, "What was his favorite state from going coast to coast?"
Oh man, really, it's hard to pick I have like a top 3. My top 3 is Colorado, Montana, and Oregon. But it's really hard for me to pick a like, I love Colorado, but I also really love the ocean. I love the mountains. I love the nature, the forest. But yeah, like Montana, Oregon, Colorado are just like, the Southeast never really hit my vibe that well. Like, I went there a bunch, you know, I just never really felt it, you know. But yeah, like Montana, oh my gosh, fucking beautiful. Beautiful, just open sky, just beautiful. The people there are cool. Like, I could just walk into a town and just be like, hey, I need work. I need a job. And I'd find, like, oh, so-and-so down at the furniture store is renovating. You know, like, it was like, oh, people are always really cool up there. Oh, I like the land up there. Yeah, Montana, Oregon, and Colorado are my favorite for sure.
Someone wants to know, what was the other, if you had any other, like what the other scariest encounter was besides almost getting caught by the rail worker.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was just the very first train I ever got on. I mean, there was times, yeah, I mean, I got taken to jail twice for riding trains, but I used to tell people, you know, if you're scared to go to jail, don't ride trains, because that's not the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen is you fucking die. You know what I mean? So, that's not the scariest thing. I mean, I've been robbed at gunpoint. Like, I literally just, I'm like, man, I'm not going to get shot over this. Like, you know, like, I've had people be like, oh, we didn't do anything? And it's like, bro, you want to get shot over your fucking backpack? Or you want to fucking die? You know, it's not worth it, really. I had this one time, this guy with a machete. I was sitting there with this kid that never hopped a train. That was one of my favorite things to do, is bring people that never rode trains, riding trains. Because I love to just look in their face, you know, when you start going and you just look at them and you can see that glint in their eye. And it's just, yeah, it's magical. And this guy with a machete was just like walking around us all tweaked out on meth. And he's just like, oh, you know, how many of you are there? And I was like, oh, there's about 4 or 5 of us at the liquor store right now. And then he like walked away, and the greenhorn, when you're new to something like riding trains, we call them greenhorns. He was like, man, why'd you say that there was more of us? And I was like, bro, that guy does not need to know that it's just me and you down here. Because we're like, I mean, that's the hardest thing, is like getting off the train. Because then you got the cops fucking with you. You got people, all kinds of crazy, tweaked out homeless people fucking with you. You know what I mean? Like, you're just trying to get some food and water and supplies and go. So that was like the hardest part. I mean, I almost died riding trains. That will still give me nightmares. Like, I still wake up sometimes with nightmares from that. I almost died of dehydration. And it was so serious. I was having auditory and visual hallucinations just from dehydration. And my peripheral vision was gone. It was like someone was holding their hands over my eyes, like it was all black all around my eyes, and I could only see right in front of me. I hopped onto a coal train, and I thought it was going one way, but we ended up going towards a coal mine. And we sided out, so the train stopped, and I was on an empty coal train, and I look, and there's what I thought was a full train loaded with coal. So I got off and got on that one, because I'm like, oh, this loaded coal is going to leave. And mind you, it's over 100 degrees. It's like 108 degrees. And the next day, we're still there. And I walk to the front of the train, walk to the back of the train. There's no engines. It's just a string of coal in the middle of nowhere. And I look all around. There's no bushes. There's no trees. There's no shade. There's no power lines. There's no puff of smoke. I'm like out in the open plains, just on this string of loaded coal. And I run out of water quick. And at one point I started walking away. And then I was like, I need to go back to the train, because they're not just going to leave a loaded coal train there forever. They'll eventually come back for it. And I was like, if I just walk, where am I walking to? Out into the horizon, I'm going to die. So I walked back to the string of trains. And I tell the story to people, and they're like, man, you probably drank your piss, huh? And I'm like, dude, I was so dehydrated I couldn't piss. Like, at one point I had my dog bowl, and I was trying to pee into the dog bowl to drink it, and I couldn't even pee. It was so bad, I couldn't even piss. And then, like, I'm hearing voices, I'm hearing people laughing at me, mocking my condition. I'm seeing, like, shadow people running in front of my vision. And, like, I thought I was gonna die, gang. Like, I had came to peace with my, like, I was like, this is it. This is my last train. I fucked up. I'm gonna die. This is it. And I was so out of it that I thought I was cold, and I had every layer of clothing on me. So they eventually did come for the train, and the railroad workers saved my life. I was in and out of consciousness. I was going in and out of consciousness, and it was over 100 degrees, and I had every article. I had my thermal underwear on. I had my beanie on. I had my hoodie on. I had my jacket. I had everything on because I thought I was freezing. I thought it was freezing cold. And they found me. They brought me to the hospital. But yeah, man, every day since then's been extra for me. I've been like, yeah, every day since then's been extra. That was my first couple years riding trains, and it happened because I was arrogant and cocky. And I just thought I could get on and off whenever I wanted. I was like, I'm in control, but you learn, no, that the train's in control.
Right.
There's no such thing as the wrong train. You just went a way you didn't want to go. The train goes where the train goes. But I'll wake up like screaming for water and shit. Like, it's bad. Like I'll feel like I'm still there on that cold train, fucking with no water. I had food, I had weed, I had everything except water. I know it was probably a longer answer than you were.
No.
Yeah, it's real out there, man. It's like people will ask me, "Oh, what's the worst thing that happened to you out there?" And then when I tell them, I can just see the look in their face. They didn't really expect it to be that deep. I'm like when the highs are really high. The lows are like, I've seen the worst that humanity has to offer, but I've also seen the best.
That kind of actually, what you're saying actually brings me into the next question that somebody asked that I'm also a little bit curious about is someone said basically they were like, someone in the chat was like, I want to get into hopping trains. How should I get into it? But I want to ask you, in light of a comment like that, like after everything, if somebody came to you and said, I want to start hopping trains, how should I get into it? Would you recommend that they go on the journey?
I don't regret it at all, man. It was the best thing I could have made that choice to go, but it's not for everybody. And I used to tell people out there, like, if you've got somewhere to go back to, if you've got people that love you, if you've got a family, if you've got a support system, if you've got good for you, will eventually go home. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you've got that support system, eventually you'll go home because you'll get tired of being hungry, cold, fucking whatever, But this whole time, lots of people have asked me this question, and I always tell them the same thing. You cannot learn how to do this by watching YouTube videos. You cannot learn how to just do it. You will die. You will fucking die. Like, the only way that I recommend anybody get into this, and it's hard to do this, but is to find someone that knows what they're doing and is already doing it. You know what I mean? Like that can show you, hey, if you step there, you don't want to step there because when the train buckles, your foot will get caught and you'll fucking die. Like there's just certain things, like it goes beyond just getting on the train, hiding, and getting off the train. Like, there's shipping facilities. Your train could get pulled into a shipping facility and all of a sudden you're surrounded by barbed wire and watchtowers, and they're fucking yanking all the cargo containers off the train with cranes. They got railroad police that won't arrest you. They'll take a box cutter and cut the straps of your backpack, leave you there with a backpack you can't wear, take your sleeping bag, cut your sleeping bag up, leave you there like that. If you're going to do it, you got to go with somebody. And I think the best way to meet someone like that is, like I said, those rainbow gatherings in the beginning of my story that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. You go to enough rainbow, you're going to meet some train hoppers. And they might not like you at first. When the first train hoppers I've ever met made fun of me because I was a hitchhiker, and train hoppers think hitchhikers are stupid.
That's that's a very interesting. That's a very weird rivalry. I never even thought about that.
Oh, dude, out there, like, there's like caste systems almost. You know what I mean? Like,
no shit.
Like the train hoppers think that they're better than the people that drive around in cars and live in cars, and they think that they're better than like the hitchhikers and also the people we call them home bums, the people that are just homeless in one town and don't go anywhere and don't do anything. Like we kind of we won't hang out with those people usually. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, nose in the air, fuck you, get away from me. Because you're the reason everybody hates us is because you're just sitting here in one spot making a mess. You know, but any train hopper that tells you he doesn't hitchhike is a liar. You got to hitchhike. When you're riding train, eventually you're gonna have to hitchhike. But yeah, you know, train hoppers are like, oh, why would you just stand there with your thumb out? You can just fucking ride freight. But like, riding freight's not for everybody. Like, when it's hot, it's hot. When it's cold, it's cold. I've rode trains in -10 and I've rode trains in 110. I'd rather ride in -10 than 110, honestly, which surprises a lot of people. But yeah, when it's -10, if you got the right gear, you're fine. But 110, there is no right gear. Like you're on a fucking piece of metal, no shade. The metal is hot as fuck. It's like burning up. You touch it at all, and yeah. So I'd much rather ride in -10. And it's never the answer people want to hear. No one ever wants to hear, oh, go find a train hopper and fucking get bullied by them and like be their greenhorn and carry their water and stuff and go and learn the ropes. But really, that's how you do it and keep your limbs. You know, like, you gotta find somebody. You gotta get taught the ways, because you can't just watch some YouTube videos and be like, oh, I'm gonna do it. It's just too dangerous. But like hitchhiking, yeah, go out hitchhiking and fucking, you'll run into people, man. Like when I went out, I didn't know that people lived out there doing that. I didn't know that there was like a whole subculture of people just like by choice living out there on the road with their backpack. When I went out, I had no idea. So like that's the best way to get into it. Just go out hitchhiking, go to some rainbow gatherings, go to the gem shows, go to the Tucson Gem Show, check out some things, go to Hardly Strictly. You know, like you go places where the culture is and you'll meet people, you know?
Steve, this has been I said it again, but I mean, I'm sorry, I said it before, but I'll say it again. Yeah, this has been one of my, favorite conversations that I've had doing this. I would say I really appreciate you sharing your story. I'm like, I know that you haven't had the chat open, but there's a lot of people in the chat who are just, giving you your flowers on, getting to where you are from where you've been and, doing you and being you. So I hope you recognize that you got a lot of support out there.
I appreciate that, man. I don't got enough people in my life telling me I'm doing a good job. Like, so sometimes the reference is out of sight for me because I'm like, but yeah, I appreciate that,
bro. Yeah, again, everyone in this chat is like really, really, really supportive, and I hope. There's I don't know how there's some guy commented being like, I can help you tell your story if you want to tell it. I don't know. Here I'll do this because I know that like I already fucking said this, but I'll say it again. If you want to I don't know if you have me on Instagram or you have me on whatever, but if you want to create some form of line of communication for anyone who hears this to get in touch with you, you can hit me up and I'll figure out a way to.
Yeah, I only listen to you on Spotify.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I have an email and I have Blue Sky, but yeah, that's about it. You can
drop your email if you want. If you, I'm sure I'm I'm like 100% sure that there will be people who want to get in touch with you after this, and if that's something you're open to, you're totally welcome to drop your email on here.
Yeah, I mean, I like talk. Like I said in the beginning, man, I'm one of those people. I can just walk up to anybody and start talking to them. So it does help me to talk to people and just, So my email is kind of long, but
Go
there's
ahead.
no like crazy. All right, so it's trip, trap, tramp, trash @gmail.com.
Okay, trip.
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 TRAP. So trip, trap.
Trip trap.
Tramp. TRAMP. Trash. Trip, trap, tramp, trash. That was my full name on the road that I gave myself. Was Trip, trap, tramp, trash.
Trip, trap, tramp, trash @Gmail?
Yes, @gmail.com.
Okay, trip, trap, tramp, trash @gmail.com. Okay,
yep,
cool.
No underscores or dots or anything. Yeah, just straight all undercase. So yeah,
Trip,
man.
Trap, tramp, trash. Yeah, let me know if I'm curious if people reach out to you. That'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, I don't get too many emails.
Steve, man, once again, dude, thank you. This actually might be the longest phone call I've had on this show. How long is this? Like fucking. We've been going for almost 2 hours. I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for getting on here with me and telling your story. It was super fascinating. It was dude, I wish you the best of luck. I think you're doing a fucking great job being a father, being there for your kid, making the decisions you got to make to be there for your family. I think you're doing awesome. I'm excited for you for the future, and thanks again for your time, man. Thanks for chatting with us. I'm sure a lot of people will listen to this and gain some form of camaraderie if they themselves feel like they're not doing so hot. Is there anything else you want to say to the people of the computer before we go?
Just keep going. You gotta, even if you can't see it, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You'll get through it. Just because you can't see it now doesn't mean it's not there. And that's probably the biggest thing. And I know it's hard to see it when you're in it, but you just keep going. You just persevere. Like, we're all gonna die anyway.
Oh yeah.
You only get this one life, so like just live it, because then it's over. You know what I mean? Like, you just live it. Like, you got this one life. You got this one chance. It's going to be over anyway. So just live it. Thanks, Gek.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you, man. You have a good rest of the day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye, Steve. Whew. What a phone call, folks. What a phone call, folks. I wasn't just blowing smoke up Steve's ass. That was one of the my favorite episodes of the show I think I've recorded. I mean, he had such a amazing story, and he told it so well, and it's just wild, man. I mean, 12 fucking years of hopping trains and dealing with like fucking family shit, and then it's beautiful to hear about someone like going out and breaking the cycle and trying to like be the father that they didn't have. Like, I think that's so cool. I think that's so cool, because it's so easy to let life smack you around and mold you into something, and just to talk to someone who through sheer like force of fucking will, right? Like, I always wonder, I always, there's so much that shapes us as people that's out of our fucking control. There's so much that shapes us as people that's out of our fucking control, like who our parents are, weird neurological synapse firing, whatever the fuck shit that I don't know about, environment, time, random chance, whatever. There's so much that's beyond us that like shapes who we are. And then, I hear a story like Steve's, and it's like, and little shit about it where he's like, yeah, a fucking guy offered me crack, and I wanted to try it, and this guy was like, I'm not gonna give you your first hit of crack, and like that just saved his ass, and everyone around him was drinking, and he wasn't into drinking, and his dad was shitty to him, and he ended up being a good dad regardless. And like, bro, just the story of a guy just like encountering every pitfall that was possible to knock him down, and still like creating a beautiful life for himself. It's cool. It makes me question my often deterministic viewpoint about life, and lean more heavily into the idea that we have free will over who we want to become, and not letting the shit that happens to us or the world we live in or whatever like shape us permanently. Is cool. It's an inspiring story. I appreciate you sharing it, Steve. Once again, yeah. What is it again? Trip. I wrote it down. Trip, trap, tramp, trash at gmail.com. I don't know. Sometimes I like the idea that, I mean, we've had a few callers on this podcast that wires have crossed somehow by people listening to it, and cool things happen. So I like throwing it out there for that to happen. Anyway, this has been the Therapy Gecko podcast. Thank you all very much for listening. This was great. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends. I'd like people to hear this. I think this is a really cool story. I think this is a good, I mean, I've been doing this like 2 episodes a week for 5 years, and sometimes I'm like, are we out of stories? And then something comes by the desk, and I'm like, oh shit, this thing keeps giving interesting stuff. So, I'm proud to be doing this show. I'm honored to have you guys listening to it. And anything else? I don't know if I have anything else to say. I think that's it. All right. Thank you all for listening. Geck bless. See you around the universe. Hello, folks. It's Lyle here. That's the end of this episode. But get this. I'm releasing a bonus episode this week. That's right. An entire extra hour of the podcast that you can listen to by becoming a premium member of Therapy Gecko over at therapygecko.supercast.com. Supercast subscribers get access to bonus episodes. They get a completely ad-free podcast feed of the regular show. They get recordings from my live shows, members-only streams, and they help support my ability to continue doing this podcast. So here's a clip from this week's members-only bonus episode. So you have these gastric distress, as you call it. And it says here that this causes you to shit your pants in several inopportune situations.
Yeah. I went to a show, and I shit myself right before we went into the show. Just to give some context, I ate a cheeseburger, and at the time I didn't know, but now I know I'm lactose intolerant. It's kind of embarrassing, but I kind of tell it to my friends as a funny story, but now saying it saying it on here, I'm kind of like, damn, like, it's kind of fucked up.
No, I think it's pretty funny. If you want to hear this full conversation, you can sign up to become a premium member at therapygecko.supercast.com or find the link in the episode description. That's therapygecko.supercast.com. All right, I have nothing else to say. Therapy Gecko's on the line, taking your phone calls every night. Therapy Gecko's doing it right, he's teaching you how to live your life, but he's not